Hello and welcome to yet another Outside Inside Star Citizen, this show where we mostly make fun of the developers because of the lack of the progress and all of that stuff and like tier 0 mechanics, etc, etc, etc. But this time it is IAE. And the event should be running right now, and I should be streaming in like half an hour from now, maybe an hour from now. And it's basically Christmas for Star Citizens. So without further ado, let's watch and comment on ISC together.
Hello, my name is Grumpy.
The purpose of a starter ship is a player's first entry into the game that gives them that little taste of what the game can do.
It should be relatively simple, straightforward, easy to fly, and should provide access to as many different game loops as possible.
They matter in the overall scheme of things because everyone has to start somewhere, so why not start with a little ship that can do a little bit of most things acceptably well to get you ready for the bigger universe.
See how they showcased the Pisces first and then the Avenger Titan? That's possibly because they themselves know that the Pisces was the best starter ship up until this point, because it just was. It was just a fucking amazing. And now we're gonna get the Drake Cutter. But also, I'm a bit scared because they're showcasing the Pisces, which is like $45 or $40, and then the Avenger Titan that's like 60 or 70, it doesn't matter. But both of those are not really starter ships because you can't really buy the game package and the ship for $45. They are like above $45. So I don't consider the Pisces and the Avenger Titan starter ships per se. Maybe the Pisces could be that, but Avenger Titan, no, it's just too expensive. And hopefully the Drake Cutter is gonna fall into that price of the Aurora and the Mustang, and it's gonna be the third game package plus 3 months insurance starter ship that we have with the Aurora and the Mustang. If not, I think it's gonna be overpriced for a starter package. Of course, if you wanna upgrade to it, sure. You can also call the Cuddy Black a starter package because it's just $100, but it's not. It is simply not. If you're buying a game and you wanna buy a ship and a game and the game package, that needs to be $45, just as any other title available in the gaming universe. Some of them are gonna be more expensive, of course, but some of them are gonna be cheaper, and $45 is like the middle ground, the perfect middle ground for a ship and a game package and 3 months insurance, whatever, for a guy that is just starting to play this game. So hopefully we will see that the Drake Cutter is gonna be $45 with the game package.
Even if you had every ship in the game, starships still have a purpose in that sometimes you don't want to risk your big value ships or vehicles.
Multiplayer or like finding people to play with isn't always like that evident, and you might just feel like playing for an hour or so, and then a starter ship is perfect because you don't have to have a whole team to man it.
They're also fun when you're doing something like a Zero to Hero run to get you started and on your way.
Zero to Hero is when people start out with one of the basic ships and try and work their way up using only in-game loops and in-game currency to buy one of the larger ships for a certain goal they set themselves.
I personally enjoy doing that sometimes because it gives you a new perspective on the game. When you first came into the game, maybe it was 5, 6, 7 years ago, the experience then is different to the experience now, so it gives you that reset and sort of relearn of the game.
I'm sorry, but it's really hard to believe that the developers are actually playing the game and playing it properly with a Zero to Hero theme, basically, because if they did, they would probably find most of the bugs that we're reporting constantly, and they're not getting fixed for fucking ages. So with that said, I do agree that most of the backers will need to have, or most of the players will need to have a small but capable ship. So not really a starter ship, but something that is capable of doing a bunch of different stuff, like the cutter. So it has like a cargo hold, it has a bed, it has a cockpit, and what more do you need from a starter ship? And I'm gonna say this again, if the price with the game package is gonna be $45, great, that's the best fucking starter package. If it's gonna be $80, no, fuck it, no, just get the Aurora or the Mustang, it doesn't matter, just get one of those and you're gonna be good.
A lot of our current lineup of starter ships were developed back before our game loops really became a proper thing, and that means that we're in a really good position at the moment to introduce a modern starter ship that is set up to work with our modern game loops, and that's where the Drake Cutter comes in.
Oh my god, it's beautiful. Honestly, I said this on the stream yesterday, and I'm gonna say this again. I said it a couple of times. When I saw the cutter, yes, it looks like a small, like, little shit boat, a tugboat or whatever, but also, I want to never have played Star Citizen before and to start just now to get this as a starter ship. Honestly, of course, if it's priced at $45 with the game package, I'm gonna say this throughout the whole fucking video. If that's the case, it's fucking beautiful and it does everything, and it's like it is like it looks like a spaceship. Like the Aurora looks like a, I don't know, a mosquito without wings, and it's just fucking it's ugly. The Mustang, on the other hand, looks like a, like, I don't know, retarded fucking plane, but it's not. It's just weird. And this thing looks like an actual spaceship, like something that you will find in Star Wars or Firefly, or even in like Expanse, which is like more realistic than Star Citizen and all of those titles. But it does look like a fucking spaceship, while the other spaceships look like planes, basically, like the Vanguard, the Arrow, the Gladius, etc. And then you have the Mustang, which is like a retarded plane, and then you have the Aurora, which is just retarded.
The Drake Cutter is Drake's entry into the starter ship market. It provides a well-rounded experience for one person to just go take on all that the verse can offer.
It's a ship that is very straightforward in the way that it's designed. It's designed to get a starter player from A to B as safely as possible while they do their starting gameplay loops.
So we saw the leaks of the Drake Cutter prior to this, and we already saw that it only has 2 size 1 hardpoints, and honestly, I do not think that this is enough, especially for Drake ships. Like, I think that it should at least have 4 size 1s like the Aurora or like the Mustang, because without that, it's just gonna be underpowered. Like it looks amazing, everything great, but also it's gonna get killed by a fucking dragonfly, because the dragonfly is gonna fly better than the cutter, and it has basically the same firepower. So if that happens, I don't think that this ship is gonna be a really viable ship for most people as a starter ship. But also, I must say that this ship, I think, could be used as a shuttle. So, for example, if you have, okay, of course, people with A90 jumps are not going to use a Drake Cutter as a shuttle, but, for example, for the Carrack or for some other ships that we're going to have with hangars, this could be a really good addition to the hangar, because it's small, it's compact, it can transfer for SU, and yeah, you're gonna see that in a second. But honestly, the point of this is that I would love to see 2 more hardpoints being size 1 on this ship, and then this ship is gonna be complete and amazing.
You'll notice the materials and the whole look of the ship and how it's built. It's not really aerodynamic, it's very bolted on and like put together out of like different kinds of metals, and like some are more rusty than others. It's using the Vulture VTOLs. It's also using that Drake signature cladding and paneling that's like bolted on top. It's very functional but robust and slightly janky looking.
Dude, I love it. I honestly love it, and I love the design. I love the Drake style. I love that it looks like I gotta hide my erection. Give me a second. I love that it looks like an actual spaceship, and yeah, like honestly, I want more spaceships like this. And Jesus Christ, if we got more Drake ships, I will probably get them all because Drake ships are just amazing, and I love them. And yeah.
I think my favorite part of it is actually the way that it flies. It's got big engines, but quite small maneuvering thrusters, which means that it's relatively fast in a straight line. But as soon as you start trying to turn, you really begin to feel the weight of the ship because it's quite a heavy ship for a starter. And that gives it a lot of character. And I think as most of the time that you spend in your ship, you'll be flying it, I think it's very important that we get that sort of thing right.
And honestly, I think that this is the best, this is just getting out of hand, that this is the best model of how they should do the starter ships, because it can do everything that most of the ships can, most of the other ships can, but also, Jesus Christ, this is really uncomfortable. Yeah, but still, it's a starter ship. It's small, it's compact. It does fly like shit. It's gonna go fast in a straight line. It's not gonna like turn fight an arrow, but still, it's really, really, really good and nice design, and I approve of it. Like that, this is gonna be the first time that you're watching like inside Star Citizen, seeing me with a hard on, and actually, Jesus fucking Christ, and actually being really excited about a ship or about any feature in the game. Okay, this is not really a feature, but it's progress. It's like a good starter ship, and yeah, like I love it.
It has a relatively large interior, the largest of any starter ship.
Everything is quite tactile on the inside. There's lots of levers and clunky buttons rather than holographic displays. You don't have the finer cladding on the inside that other manufacturers would do. It's all exposed insulation and pipe work just to give it that no frills spared experience.
Yeah, I guess I'm a Drake fanboy. Yeah.
As the ramp lowers, you're greeted by the cargo hold. This is where most of the components live in their component bays, and this is also where cargo is stored. You have a door at the back of the cargo area that leads you through into the hab, which is where the basic amenities that the cutter comes with are. You have your little bathroom, bed with a little reading light, a little storage locker, and some shelving. And then through on the other side of the hab is the cockpit, which is where the last two components live, the pilot seat and dashboard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. Huh? What? I'm polishing my fucking baseball bat. What's wrong with you guys? You fucking weirdos.
The thing I like about the cutter the most is just how evolved it is compared to some of the other starter ships. It has a cockpit with a really tactile experience in it. It has onboard living quarters and storage, as well as an actual cargo bay that you can fit cargo and larger things in. So it gives you lots of variety in what you can do with it.
And that is basically what a starter ship is supposed to be like. But of course, it's supposed to be priced at $45 with the game package. If it's more than that, it's not a starter ship, is it?
The Drake Cutter is for everyone. It's a simple starter ship that everyone will be able to find a use for. In every fleet, there is a use for a small, tough, relatively fast ship.
Compared to the other starters, I think a lot of it comes down to personal preference on looks. It's quite a cool looking ship. It's got a bunch of little cool features, like I love the little slidey armor windows that you can pop into place. And yeah, it's just quite well rounded.
All right, just for the armor windows, I guess it can be like $60 with the starter package. Or 50. No, make it 50. Please make it 50. But also, it got the fucking armored windows and armored blinders, basically, before the Carrack. And the Carrack is supposed to have those on the nose, so it doesn't get, like, penetrated. After me polishing my baseball bat, like saying penetrating, it just, like, sounds really awkward. So I'm just gonna leave you with that.
It has access to more gameplay loops than you'll get in any other starter. You'll be able to carry other people.
Oh shit. So, oh my god, I almost died. Yeah, the amount of bodies inside of the cutter. First of all, amazing. Secondly, I'm not sure that it's going to be able to carry other people because of the life support inside of the ships. Once that comes into play, it's going to support just one guy, and the other guy is just going to be they're sucking up too much air, and they're probably both gonna suffocate unless they have helmets and reserve oxygen, basically. But I love this reference, honestly.
You'll be able to carry a vehicle if you're careful. You'll be able to very easily get mission boxes in and out. You can do a little bit of bounty hunting if you're very careful.
So they attacked the fucking hammerhead, with the Drake cutter that has 2 size 1 guns on it. Amazing, if you're careful. No, that's not gonna happen. The only way that could happen is by you hiding, or like luring the hammerhead into an asteroid, and it's smashing into the asteroid like full speed, so it explodes. There is no other way that you will be able to do that with 2 size 1 guns, and that's it.
It makes a very good explorer because it has very large fuel tanks compared to the other starter ships. It's like we took a Cutlass and made it tiny.
It is basically a tiny Cutlass. And I guess that you can even call it Cut-less. Stating that this is an explorer, I mean, first of all, the exploration game loop is not in the game. Secondly, the Corsair is an explorer, and it has issues exploring by being so low to the ground that it just can't land on most terrains. Secondly, like the Corsair, again, it does have I think a medium or a large fuel tank because it's an explorer, but also after like 15 minutes of exploring or flying around and making screenshots and videos, because I'm gonna do a review on the Corsair, it's just like it went to 70% of the hydrogen in the fuel tank, and I did nothing. I was just going forward. And so claiming that this is an explorer, I mean, sure, buddy, but also no. Now in the next segment, they spent like 5 minutes talking, and I'm gonna cut that out because it's not really important. They were talking about how the Drake is not really like a criminal spaceship maker, but because guns don't kill people, people kill people and shit like that. And they went on to saying that criminals love the Drake ships because of their utility and how cheap they are, and just take a look at the Cuddy Steel's price. It's not fucking cheap, but they are cheap in the verse, but in the store they're fucking not. And also, if you're gonna say that, then we need Drake ships with QED devices like on the Mantis, because the one that we have on the Cuddy Blue is just dog shit, and it needs to be either buffed or completely replaced with another ship or with another QED device. Also, most of the criminals and the pirates are gonna use Avenger Warlocks if they want to pirate somebody, but the Drake ships, they just don't have an EMP ship in their lineup, so that needs to change. He was also talking about he was also talking about how the Buccaneer was the best ship to him, and he loved that ship, and he was destroying people in that. Sure, but you nerfed it, and you nerfed all the medium fighters, and the medium fighters, why would you have a medium fighter right now? Because the light fighters are the meta. Heavy fighters, not so much. They're good against Connie-sized ships, but the light fighters are basically the meta. And that's those are my comments on that. But you don't really need to watch the whole 5-minute segment, because it's just whatever. It's just lore, and that's it. So let's take a look at the 600i rework.
Let's find out what went wrong the first time around, and take a look at how the team aims to address the issues in the current internal concept rework.
First of all, it's still in concept phase. Secondly, are they gonna admit that they just made an oversized Gladius? Because there's no point in having a 600i at this point. It only has guns and it can only fly. It can maybe transport the rock, the GRC, the Great Rock. But other than that, it's just like, no. It's just like an empty fucking boat that is luxurious, made with the most luxurious pixels and polygons and all of that, but Jesus Christ, it's just like useless. But of course, they're not gonna admit that, and they're not gonna admit that it's overpriced for what it offers. But at least it's gonna get a medical facility. Well, one of the models.
The rear was a massive habitation area where there was pool tables and bars. And then you had the very front of the ship, which had the bridge and the captain's quarters. And then it forced the entirety of the core gameplay loops of the ship to live in the middle of it. So you had this small module where everything needed to happen.
Excuse me, but like which gameplay loops or core gameplay loops of this ship? Because you're showcasing the stairs in the middle area, and what are the like what? The whole ship is fucking useless. It only has like 3 size 5s and a few turrets, and it can fly and it can fire, and it can, like, one of the variants can transport the Grey Cat Rock, and that's it. It can't do anything else. So what? Like, what?
If you're designing spaceships, you kind of need to make sure that everything's there for a reason. And when we get to the point where we've got kind of big unused areas of the ship that don't really support functionality, it just feels like a wasted opportunity.
The 600i was done relatively early for Origin as a brand. We'd had the 300, and it was the first really big Origin ship that we decided to do. Since then, we've obviously tackled much larger Origin ships with the 890, and throughout the course of the 890, the Origin style completely evolved from what it was, which you had some very technical and wooden surfaces, to instead have this lovely transition that goes between them, which can be seen across the 890, the clear but smooth divide between the different sections of the ship.
In terms of reworking the 600i, we had a sort of very clear brief. We want to bring it up to modern day standards. So there's a lot of features that didn't exist in the game there, or weren't accounted for at the time, to integrate those into the ship now, and then to also make better use of the space, because anyone that's been on board a 600i knows there's a lot of walking and going up and down to get to where you want to, and it doesn't really need to be like that.
Yeah, because you wanted to make it seem like it's a luxury ship, which I guess it is in terms of Star Citizen. But I'm actually happy that CAG is going for functionality over luxury. Because one of the things about luxury is so much wasted space and unused space. Like, whenever you think of luxury or luxurious buildings and apartments and all of that, they are almost always huge with an extreme amount of unused space, with some like artifacts and shit like scattered around the place just to show off how wealthy they are. That's basically what the A90 Jump is, and that's basically what the 600i was. And I'm happy that CAG is going more towards functionality side of things than just luxury, because luxury is fucking bullshit in this game. So this actually makes me happy, and honestly, I think that the 600i might be the best small-ish ship with a medbed, so maybe even better than the Carrack.
The big change for the module section is its placement. So rather than being the sort of central core of the ship that you had to go through to get to the back half of the ship, it is now in the rear section of the ship, which allowed us to move the common shared areas to the central section. We did that change because it just makes the flow of the interior better. When you have a 600i, regardless of which module you have, you know the front half of the ship is a consistent experience, and then the gameplay alterations with that module is constrained to a very specific area at the back.
So tell me if I'm wrong, but basically what they're saying is that it's pretty much a modular ship, because there are different modules, but you need to buy the models separately if you want to have both modules. And am I wrong? Is it modular but not? Okay.
So The best way to think of the 600i layout is between 3 parts. You have the very front of the ship, which is the bridge and the captain's quarters. For the most part, they've remained mostly the same. There's been a few tweaks to the layout of the chairs on the bridge, but generally that hasn't changed very much. The captain's quarters is almost the same as it was before, except it's flipped round. The bathroom moved from one side to the other. The reason for that is directly behind that, the lobby area. On the top deck, we now have a small docking collar with space for a few suits. And the opposite side of that is now a lift to take you between 2 floors into the rear, the exterior of the ship.
One thing that you need to note here is that they had nothing to show over him talking, so they don't even have the concept art for this. Or maybe they forgot to put it in, but also like him describing it, I don't know. I'm fairly sure that they just don't have the concept art.
Directly behind that, which used to be the modular section, we now have on the top deck the crew habitation area. So it starts off with a large open shared communal space where there's places to eat, make food, and then to the side of that there's 4 private crew bedrooms. The floor beneath that now is where engineering and all the components that allow the ship to function have been moved to. Think very similar to what we've done on the 400i, where you have the separate engineering section beneath. Directly behind that, we then have the ship modular section. We'll start with the expedition version. So on the top deck, at the very, very top, we have the armory. There's a huge armory with plenty of extra suit lockers for you and your friends to take extra equipment depending on what you might encounter.
All right, so the addition of the armory is amazing, and I love it. I love the design of it. I love how it works. But I don't understand why is it on top of the ship. Because most of the times, if you're going to use the armory, you're going to use it to get your weapons and yourself loaded out, so you can leave the ship and go exploring or into combat or whatever. And that needs to be like close to the exit, from my point of view. But I guess that this is okay because most of the people are going to be most of the people inside the ship, the crew, is going to be upstairs in the on the bridge, and then like by leaving the bridge they can just hop into the armory and get their gear and go outside. So yeah, it's nice. And did I say that I love the addition and the design of the armory? It's fucking amazing.
Behind that, we then have the hologlow that allow you to do the exploration.
Hologlow. It's like Apple fucking designed the word. Honestly. Also, the fuck are you gonna explore? What, like, how is that gonna work?
On the middle deck, we then have the medical bay, which will have a medical suite similar to that as the Carrack. It'll have a tier 2 med bed. Beside that, we then have the secondary cargo hold. So this cargo hold, it's more readily accessible for the crew. So it's more for your day-to-day supply. So if you want to have a box full of your food or your snacks, that's where you put it instead of down in your main cargo hold, because you don't want to go rooting through your garage just to find that random pen that you've left. On the bottom deck of the Expedition version, we then have the main cargo hold and garage. So obviously, as you've seen from the pictures from the recent Inside Star Citizen, it is much, much larger than it was before, with a much, much larger lift to fit much larger vehicles in it.
But of course, nothing says exploration better than a fucking Tombrel Nova tank with a size whatever 7 gun on top of it and a fucking shit ton of missiles and like what? Okay, honestly, it's great that they made the cargo hold / hangar this big so you can transport more stuff and so you can use like larger vehicles than the rock, because currently in the 600i you can only transport the rock and that's it. Also, the addition of the medical bay is amazing because, as I've said, this is going to be one of the cheapest, except the Apollo, of course, but one of the cheapest and one of the smallest multi-crew ships that is going to offer like a medical bay where you can respawn, and at some point maybe you will not be able to respawn, but maybe also you can use supplies so you can respawn. Like, we don't fucking know how it's going to work, but tier 2 beds. So yeah, take that, Carrack. And honestly, with all of this, like with all of these changes, The only ship that comes to mind is the Orville from the series called the Orville. And it looks nice. It is useful now. Suddenly, it is useful. And CAG, I tip my hat to you guys because you did a great job with the concept art, and then you just gotta make it, right? But also, this is a rework of an existing ship, and you need to rework like 200 of them to bring them up to the new standards for the pipeline or the resource system that is gonna be in the game at some point. And yeah, and then you have like 24, I think, capital ships that are in the backlog, and then you have a bunch more like ground vehicles and smaller ships that are in the backlog. And yeah, so when is that gonna happen?
Moving on to the touring variant, we get a completely different experience. The touring's primarily split between two main decks, though one of the decks is across 2 floors. So the upper deck brings you out into the large lobby area. From the lobby area, you can choose to go up the side staircases to the...
I just can't. I can't. I'm no luxury on this channel. No, fuck this. Honestly, fuck this. You can go to Morphologist's channel and he's probably gonna cover this once it gets released, of course. I'm not gonna cover this. I don't fucking care. This is just stupid. Honestly, it's just stupid. Like, if you don't have money in the real world, like luxury in the real world, you're gonna buy this ship for like $500 so you can have a fucking luxurious ship and you can do transport and shit like that. Like, but Jesus, why? Why is this a thing? Why are people like this? I don't fucking understand it. So yeah, we're just gonna skip through this.
So whilst we're kind of doing a complete or almost a complete rework of the interior, on the exterior of the ship, we're trying to keep it as true to how it is now as we possibly can. There will be some slight changes. We'll need to move the hangar bay doors a little bit. There'll be some additional kind of cutouts for escape pods, and we need to fit the airlock in properly. So there will be some minor changes, but overall, we're trying to keep it as close to what you see now as a 600 as we can.
Blah, 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 blah. It still looks like an iron. Here's the 600i, here is an iron. Tell me if you see the similarity. But like the thing here that you need to tell us is the price gonna go up or is the price gonna stay the same? Because if the price goes up, then what did you sell to us a couple of years ago, and what is this now? Like, this is basically a different ship. And if the price goes up, that means that that's going to be a common thing or like a recurring thing with your reworks of the ships. So if that happens, I can see the Starfarer going up in price to like $600 because it's currently at like $400. So is that going to happen, or is it going to stay chill and stay still at like $475? I guess we'll see. We don't know.
So next step is essentially just finding a slot in the production schedule for it.
It's about finding the space where we can start doing the production art and designers can get on board with actually making it come alive again.
Fox, like, they are not even working on it. They don't even have it on the schedule. So why are we talking about this right now?
So what did we learn this week?
Well, Jared, I can tell you what we learned today. We learned that the IAE is currently running and that CAG needs money. Therefore, give money, plus money, more money, plus from the backers, money. With that said, thank you for watching, and thank you to all my patrons for giving me money. And if you want to give me some more money, there's gonna be a link down in the description of the video so you can give me money instead of giving CAG money, and that's how it works. Give me instead of them, because I'm gonna bring you this, and I'm gonna bring you the truth, and I'm gonna bring you fun and all of that shit, and I'm gonna masturbate with my baseball bat and all of that. So yeah, if you wanna give money, then Patreon. Also, don't forget to subscribe, because with that you're gonna enter the giveaway, and everybody wins and you win my heart, and that's how it works. And also, I'm gonna be streaming basically right after this video, so yeah, just check the stream out. And with that said, thank you for watching again, and don't forget to bring a towel when you're traveling through space, and mwah, love you. Jesus Christ, they should have just stopped at the Drake cutter, and that's it. Goodbye.